Well, the cost of this bulldozer just went up. Yeah, I had a 3-ton jack and I blew it apart trying to get one side lifted up, so I bought a 4-ton jack. Let's go. Well, we got one more step done. We got that battery box tore off there. Not as easy as what I thought. It's got 3 bolts up here, 2 bolts down there, 2 bolts here that don't even have access to it, really. But yeah, I just want to basically document all of this for myself more than anything, because ultimately I'm gonna have to put this thing back together. But while we're here, yeah, that is the linkage that goes down to the clutches and the brakes, and that does not look very happy. The cover has been off of it for years on both sides, or for a while. I don't know for years, but for a while. But as you can see, now we have access down inside here to all the controls and everything. The valve for the blade, the 6-way blade, is bolted into that box over there. And as you can see, it's got all kinds of stuff that comes out this side, that side, and everywhere else. So it looks like we're gonna have to knock off a couple of hose clamps down there to get that main trunk from the tank disconnected. And it looks like there's another disconnect down there for that trunk coming out. And then of course the 4 lines that come across to this side, they have disconnects there as well. So we'll have to disconnect all that. That valve body has been leaking because just sitting here, this thing's making a mess on my floor. And like I say, I want to do this just to document this for myself. Before we go ahead and tear all those hoses off, we're going to document, you know, where each one of those goes as well. So we got quite a little labeling project down inside here. It's going to be fun, but we'll get her. Here we go. All right, guys, one more piece of the pie has been eaten. This one turned into a cluster. The reason it turned into a cluster, these 2 bolts go down into the housing. These 2 bolts go down into the housing. And this was a nut and bolt, and I couldn't get 2 wrenches down in there very well. So when I finally did, I busted off the valve for the fuel tank. And I had diesel fuel running everywhere. So that turned into a real shit show. We slung it outside, laid it on its back, and it is out there awaiting attention. But we have a mess in here with a whole bunch of diesel fuel all over my floor right now. We'll get it cleaned up. And so now that we got that fuel tank off, this is the next step. And this is not gonna be fun. There are a lot of hydraulic hoses in there, and all of that needs to be documented. There's no way to put wire ties on everything in there. So I'm gonna have to document where each hose goes and write that down. All right, guys, tonight we took down all the notes on where all the hydraulic lines connect to the valve. And now let's come over here and take a look at it. We have some of this side's hoses off. The other side goes out the other side of the box into some metal tubing and then to the flex tubing. So right now what we're doing is we're just taking off the hoses that come out of this side, and we're going to get them pulled out of there. And yeah, I mean, I got hydraulic fluid all over my hand, but we'll take you with for just a second here. This is all we're doing, and I'm sure you guys know how to loosen hydraulic lines if you've messed with any kind of equipment. But yeah, this is what we're doing tonight. We are stripping this valve of all the hoses so we can pull this box off of this side, just like we did that box over there, the battery box, as well as the diesel fuel tank. And I think I showed you last night the absolute mess that we had with the diesel. We dumped all of the diesel out when we busted that little nipple off. Probably about 2 gallons, I would guess. But as you can see, we got all that cleaned up. We jacked this side up real nice and high, drug out all the absorball that was saturated, and we put all new absorball underneath the tracks. So yeah, that looks really good compared to what it did. So yeah, we're going to continue to take these lines off, and once we get this box off, we'll show you what that looks like. All right guys, we're getting ready to pull this side off. This contains the hydraulic valve as well as the hydraulic oil tank. We've disconnected all of the lines that come over to this side. We've disconnected all of the lines that come out the front. We should have 2 3/4 bolts on the bottom, as well as I think it's a 9/16 bolt that holds this on. So this piece is going to come off with this piece. I think I need one more strap to go from the bottom of this chain to the top of the chain, and just let it come around the back here so that chain cannot slide forward. It cannot slide any forward than this bracket here, but that 3-inch slide is going to be a heart drop, because this box is way heavier than I can lift. The main trunk coming out has been loosened, as well as the main trunk coming into the valve has been loosened as well. So this whole thing, including this pipe and that pipe, should come out with the shifter plate and this cross member here. So we're going to set you up on the tripod, and first thing we'll do is we'll get the engine hoist over here and get it in place. We don't need to show you that on time lapse, but if you guys want to see it, tell me yes right now. All right, let's watch. So before we get started with the time lapse, I want to show you this stuff. For years and years, I thought this stuff was called bull rope, but it's called pull rope. And the nice thing about it, I use it all the time. I use it for cutting trees down. I got a spool of it here, as well as a great big spool of it over there on the freezer. But yeah, we got probably about 1 million feet of this stuff, and I love it because it's real cheap, and if you mess it up, you cut it off, you throw it away. But this is called pull rope, and the tensile strength on this is unbelievable. So I think this is what we're going to tie that chain up with, and we'll do that right now. I know a lot of you guys say that you don't like all the shitty music that I put in these videos during the time lapses, but I'll tell you, it's hard to find good music or background music that you can play that you don't get popped with copyright. A lot of guys don't use music, but I'm pretty sure you guys get tired of hearing me talk. All right, guys, here we go. Here goes nothing. If I crush myself, call 911. Here we go. All right, that's it. We should be loose. Well, let's see if you're still in frame here. Oh yeah, good job. All right, we'll lower this down so we're not 10 miles in the air when this thing decides to let loose. All right, and that is how you take the valve box off of a John Deere 350, redneck style, when you don't have a clue. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. If it wasn't for that, this wouldn't be here. because there's no way I could move this stuff around. So all we're gonna do right now is we're probably gonna have to block that up to alleviate crushing that pipe. So we'll figure out how much I need there to block up, and then we'll block this, set that tank up there, and let that front piece there go right across the front here. If I have to, I can slide these tanks back a little bit. We'll take you along. Time lapse. All right, guys, there you go. We have all three of the tanks, the hydraulic tank, the fuel tank, and the battery box on one pallet. And now it's a little dark outside, so we'll let you in here. But basically, we're gonna spin this pallet back around, get underneath of it, take it out there, and throw it in that shed back there with the rest of the parts. I don't know how awkward. Yeah, that's gonna ride good. So yeah, literally I'm just gonna put this fork up against that end, spin it around, pick it up, open my garage door first. That's a very important fact. And if you guys didn't see it, because the camera was actually facing this way, as soon as I start that thing up, I always open that door. Guys, don't ever run a piece of equipment in the garage with your doors closed. You guys that have been with me for a long time, you know the story behind it. I lost a brother for carbon monoxide. It was his own choosing, but I don't want to choose that way accidentally. So whenever you run a piece of equipment, diesel or gas, man, get some ventilation. So, yep, we're going to spin that, put it in the storage building, and then we'll look at this, see what we want to do next. I'm pretty sure I need to get that track off. So that'll be the next thing. I do have another pallet sitting outside just for that track. It's a real nice pallet, heavy duty. Once we get that track off, wow, then I think it's time to start tearing the dashboard off. I'm not quite sure yet. I don't want to get into the mechanics of it. I would rather get into the body of it. This does entail a lot of electrical work, so that's going to have to all be labeled and you know, taken pictures of and stuff, so I know how to put it back together. The starter, the alternator, all that stuff. So yeah, we got a lot of work ahead of us, but we're making little steps of the difference. It looks totally different now. Let's grab this light. We'll hold it up. Yeah, we're only at one piece of the pie here. I got to get something and stick down in those two tubes right there, so we don't get any debris down in there. Probably just take some cloth and cut little pieces and jag them down in there. But yeah, now we got both sides exposed. Like I say, the next thing I think is going to be this track. If we can't get the track off, because I haven't had a chance to go get them bottles refilled. If we can't get this track broke loose, the next thing we're going to work on is pulling the dashboard off and the bulkhead, or the firewall, I guess, not a bulkhead, but the firewall. Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of people, they ask me, how in the world do you remember where all that stuff goes? Well, these videos, believe it or not, are more for myself than they are for you. No, that's not true. They're for you guys as well, but it does give me a good reference to what was where and where was what. I am very particular, you know, all the bolts that I take out, I put right back into the holes that they came out. The bolts that were on the tank are back in the tank. The bolt that goes down in the side here, that is not in there yet. And the bolt over there, I actually dropped down in there. I couldn't find it. I see the washer laying there, but the bolt is gone. It just disappeared. So, yeah, I mean, we nibble at it. You know what? I'll take you guys back here to this back building and let you see what I got in there. Right now, I do have it unzipped just because I ran that pallet back in here. But yeah, nice heavy duty pallet. We threw all the stuff on there from the left side track. This is all of the accessory stuff, the floor panels, the side panels, the exhaust, the covers for the hydraulic lines, the seat and the hood. And then of course this is what we just tore off. the left side battery box, the center, which is the diesel fuel tank, and then the right side over there is the valve for the 6-way blade, which we just took off. And what we're going to do is when we finally fill this whole area up with pallets, eventually we'll start pulling one pallet out. I'll get it sandblasted or wire wheeled, whatever I feel is necessary to get it so it's not going to rust. We'll shoot it with some primer and shoot it with the final paint. I have some ideas. I'm sure nobody wants to hear it, but I would love to go with an army green and kind of do it army style. But I'm sure everybody's going to be like, no, paint it the original color. Not sure what I'm going to do there. We got a mess.